Howdy boys, it's NPC, and today we're going to be talking about which vehicles are worth your money from day one of the Mercenaries DLC. So in total, there are 7 vehicles. We're going to start out on Southern since the majority of them are here. So for this video, we're going to have 3 categories. There's going to be must-haves, non-essentials, and don't buys. And we're going to start out on Southern since the majority of the vehicles are here. First up, we have the Vapid Click. This one is a non-essential. I'm very pleased with this vehicle. It's not all that expensive, sitting at $1.2 million. It's got a great wheelie. It handles really well in the corners. The only thing it's missing really is a top end. It's not all that fast in a straight line. And if I had a guess, it's probably very similar to the Vapid Click since it's just the wagon variant. And the Click, the regular version, is a very good muscle car. However, it does get outclassed by stuff like the Buffalo STX, making it a non-essential. If you're going to be racing in the muscle class category, you wouldn't be using a Click. But this car does feel really good, and if, classic cars like this are your style, then I would definitely pick one up. Up next, we have the Maibatsu Monstrosity. This one is a must-have. It's kind of sitting more like on the fence of must-have and non-essential. It's got crazy good acceleration, and it's unbelievably fast for an off-road vehicle. I have no idea why they made it so fast. It's kind of got like that Virtue ice skating kind of feel to it, where it like starts sliding across the ground because it's going so fast, but it's just barreling forward, man. It's so fast, and of the 4 vehicles here, it is the second cheapest, sitting at $1.5 million. I think it's a little goofy looking to start, but it's definitely got some good customization, and I really enjoy driving it so much. And I really think you guys should buy it and try it out for yourselves. So I'm going to place it in the must-haves category. Up next, we have the Vapid Ratel, and this is going to be our first one in the do not buys. While the Ratel may look cool, it is incredibly deceptive because that's all it offers, and you're paying almost $2 million for it. By the time you finish upgrading it, it will surpass $2 million. And the customization it's unique because it's a unique looking vehicle, but it's not like crazy. You also can't really change the wheels without downsizing them an insane amount. You're losing probably 4 inches if I were to guess on a real life scale. 4 inches off of the tires if you change to anything, even off-road tires, which are the thickest tires in the game. And of course, you can't modify stock wheel colors unless you do the stock wheel color glitch, which should be doable on this vehicle because it's not chrome or anything in the middle. It's the alloy that comes on most vehicles. But overall, the Ratel it's mid as I'm gonna just put it bluntly. It's so mid in every single category aside from its looks. That's of course subjective. In my opinion, it looks like the alien from Alien Isolation with the really smooth head. It's just not for me. And it's the most expensive one. I just don't get it. It's probably got the worst performance of all 4 of these vehicles relative to its category. And lastly, on Southern, we have the Declassy Walton L35. This one definitely surprised me. Visually, I think the vehicle looks stunning after you customize it. Performance-wise, it is also pretty middle of the pack. I would say maybe ever so slightly tipping towards the good side of middle. But what really makes this truck shine is the customization. I love my Walton. I think it looks absolutely amazing. The only little issue that you have to keep in mind is that the back end kind of likes to oversteer a tiny bit. It's not like a huge deal or anything. The vehicle is pretty controllable. If you're curious about the customization, I would buy one and customize it. I think it's pretty worth looking at. If you guys are curious to see what I did do a customization earlier today, so you guys can go check that out. It's definitely not a must-have. I would throw this one in the non-essentials category because it's a nice vehicle. It's just not crazy performance-wise or anything. And the last of our vehicles is the Grotti Italy GTO Stinger TT. This one is a must-have. It's the most must-have of all of the vehicles that have been added today for a few reasons. First of all, it's a great looking car. Second of all, it has Amani tech. Third, if you're playing on consoles, it has HSW upgrades. Unfortunately, I'm on PC and I don't have access to that, but I think it's enough just to be a great looking car and be Amani tech. And if you add the HSW upgrades on top of that, it's ridiculous. And then we haven't even talked about the performance yet, which is good. It's definitely on the good side. The handling is it's a little heavy. You kind of have to slow down for your turns a little bit because the car is fast. it's like a boulder tumbling down a hill. Like, it's a very heavy vehicle, and once it gets going, it's going. So if you're cornering, you really have to make sure you brake, because you're probably going to fly past the corner otherwise. And I know it is a pretty hefty price tag at $2.4 million without any upgrades, but I think you're getting so much bang for your buck with this vehicle. It's definitely worth every penny. So this one is a must-have. And our last two vehicles can be found on Warstock, and they both belong in the air. First up is the Streamer 216 for $2.2 million. This thing is kind of a piece of shit. It's got cluster bombs, which is cool, but it's definitely not like unique to this. Tons of planes that was added with like the air freight DLC have cluster bombs. It has a machine gun, which is I think it's okay. I was able to destroy a police car in 3 seconds when all of the bullets were hitting it, which is I think pretty good time. But when you're like dive bombing someone, how often are you gonna be it's hard to keep your little crosshair on them for 3 seconds. It's just pretty impractical, and it's slow. I just really don't think it's a good spend of $2 million. Like, that could be going to something else, like the Raiju. Before we talk about the Raiju, I'm gonna throw the Streamer 216 into the do not buy this. And then lastly, we have the Raiju going for a whopping almost $7 million if you don't have the trade price unlocked, which probably very few people do at this point, because the DLC has been out for about 7 hours now, so I guess people have been able to unlock it. But if you have the trade price unlocked, it's going to be 5.1, a lot more worth it. But where does the Raiju lie? It's got quite a few utility features. It's got the VTOL, which is the floating thing that the Hydra can do. That's really practical, because it's the only other fighter jet that can hover. Well, I guess it's the only other fighter jet that can hover. It's got homing missiles, it's got non-homing missiles, it's got a cannon that has a slower fire rate than the old Hydra. The Hydra did get nerfed, and I still need to do a comparison on that, but it does have pretty good explosive power. It one-shots unarmored vehicles. The cannon is just a little odd, because sometimes like you can have your crosshair right on someone, and because it's not just like a laser beam anymore, it could miss. And then one thing I don't like about the Raiju is that the handling is a little finicky sometimes. It's not as smooth of a flight as the Hydra is, because that one is very like, it glides back and forth. With the Raiju, it's a lot more sporadic sometimes. Like you can randomly like get a crazy break, and it just feels a little bit odd. It does have the modern visuals. It looks absolutely amazing. And then lastly, it has the stealth mode feature, which is amazing as well, because that's gonna be really useful in sneaking up on people without having your icon be displayed on the map and everyone knowing where you are at all times. So that's really useful. So the verdict for the Raiju is a must-have, because the Hydra's getting nerfed, the Oppressor's been nerfed. As good as the Hydra is still, and probably worth using, the Raiju does have it beat a little bit with the stealth mode, and it just has like a lot of good utility. I think it's priced fairly for where we are in the current state of the game. I think the Hydra for like $3 million was pretty expensive back in the day. I would say this is roughly equivalent, maybe a little more like inflated, but that pretty much wraps up our list. Just to sum it up, we have the Raiju, the Stinger TT, and the Monstrosity in the must-haves. We have the Walton and the Vapid Click in the non-essentials, and then we have the Vapid Rattel and the Streamer 216 in the do not buys. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed, comment down below, and share your thoughts on the new vehicles. I would love to hear them. And that's about it, so take care, and I'll catch you boys in the next one. Peace!